Hi guys, today's card's going to be hopefully a fairly quick one. I'm using Fawn's Manatee-rific stamp set. I've also used the Ocean Wave dies from Fawn. I've had these for years and years and years, so they're a good one to have. I'm also going to try for the first time the MFT replenishments. And these are the slider elements, so they basically look like candy, but don't eat them. But this is going to help move the element around and create the slider element. So I'm going to use that. I've got my little images all set up here, and it's going to be a very simple card. It's not going to be anything too over the top. The main thing is going to be the slider element, and also these are scrap pieces from the previous video, so if you haven't checked that out, then you know, it's on my channel. I'll try and remember to link it in the cards or something around about here, but if I forget, just go back to that one and you'll see where these pieces come from. So I haven't decided yet, but I have these are just die cut circles, and like I say, if you watch the previous video, I sort of tried to create a porthole type thing on the front of the card. So these are, like I say, the leftovers of creating that porthole shape. But I'm just going to walk you through how to create what we need today. So I have one plain piece of cardstock. So this is Stampin' Up! Slate, smoky slate, I think it is. And I have a second piece of the same colour. That's just so that when we've die cut it, you see the same colour all the way through. You don't have to do that. You can do multiple colours. It's up to you. So one will be plain. On the second one, you're going to die cut a circle out the size that you decide you want, and whilst you're there, what you want is one die to sit to create this outer circle, and another one just slightly inside of it, which will create the smaller circle. So it's almost like the same way that you could create a frame, which would be this, where the white space is here, that would be your frame if you wanted that as a frame. And then basically the leftovers are what you need for this particular slider card. So hopefully that makes some sense. So again, you'll have your blank piece, you'll have your first die on there, and before you die cut that, tape that in place and tape a second one slightly smaller on the inside and just die cut them at the same time, and that way you'll get a frame out of that. On the other side of it, if you're not bothered about the frame, then die cut your circle here, take another piece and die cut this size down to create this piece. So it depends whether you want to have a frame for something else or whether you just want the two pieces. So it depends how you want to do that. So these are the two pieces. So I actually have two different colours. So I'm still not sure whether I'm going to use this colour just so there's another bit of blue in there. And this is Pool Party Stampin' Up! So that's the first part of it. If I just leave this in here, then I've cut. You can use a circle, but because I've got a narrow gap here, because this is essentially what was left over from yesterday's project, I've just cut a square-ish, I didn't measure or anything, that is wider than this gap. So in other words, it will fit over that gap. Does that make sense? So that square then will go all the way around, whee, like that. You don't have to do the sound effects. And what I did was I cut the corners because this is quite narrow here, and I wasn't sure whether the whole square would actually fit there It may have, but it may have stuck out, so I just lobbed the corners off and that'll work just fine. So that's the piece that's going to hold your little what are they called? Replenishment thing, slider element, and then this guy will sit on top. Ta-da! Right, anyway, let's put this bit together. Oh, the other thing I've got is I've got a couple of waves. I said I used the wave dies. This is a piece of leftover Bermuda Bay, again from the project I used yesterday. So I'm just using leftovers from there to create a new card. And it was funny because as I was making the other card and putting all the scrap pieces that I had left to one side, that's when this suddenly happened and I went, oh, new card. So that I just cut straight across. This one, on the other hand, I know looks a bit wonky. This is the shape of the piece I had. So I will show you how, even with an odd shape like this, you can still make it work on your card and it will look fine. So, in fact, we'll start with that piece so that we get that ready, and then we'll do the slider part. I haven't even got a card base. That's clever. I'll get that in a minute. Right, so what I want to do is I'm just going to put some tape just along the edge here. I think that's what I want to do. Let me just turn this over. So what you're going to do is you're going to line up the corners of your straight edged piece with the corners, sorry, right up until the edge here, so it doesn't overhang, and that should hopefully give you a piece that will work, so that you don't have to worry too much about it. Straight edges. Where's my tape? Always losing my tape. Right, so what you've lined up with is it all square on the piece. So that's your piece for your wavy piece. Now I've just got a new Gemini die cutter, and I've got to say it's very, very good, but it has kind of warped my paper. So does anybody else have problems like that? On the first go, maybe it like loosens up, I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to use, so now you've got your back piece, your front piece. Now I just want to think about this for a second. So you need to raise that so that there's space for that to run round. So I'm going to put foam on the back edges of all of these, but here you need a very thin piece of foam because you need this to run past. In fact, on that section I might not even bother. So I'm going to do the corners, and I'm going to do these corners here and down here. little bit at the bottom, but that's fine. So there's the spacing that you need. So before we put this in, this should be hopefully hard enough now, or dry enough at least. So what I'm going to suggest is that because we've used a glue, is use your powder tool and just go around the edges here. It'll help it, even if you didn't stick it on like this, it will just help them slide much better. And then the same around here. And then round this piece as well, but obviously we'll sort that out when we'll put some more on when it's in. So you've got your little guy like so. So this end is going to go underneath this circle. Does that make sense? And then this will sit, when you tape it in place, this will allow that to move. I hope that made sense. I will show you in a second. Show you again. I'm just getting the tape off the back of this guy. Get off. Right, so we've slid this little guy, our little mechanism underneath there. Now we've taken the tape off the centre piece, and we're going to centre that, she says. You want it as centred as you can get it. And now your little mechanism, can you see? You'll just roll around. And that's a good thing, that good way to check that it's not interfering with any other tape on the other side, so that you've got time to take this off before you've stuck your elements on. So that, that's, I think, quite a good thing to know. Right, so I'm going to get some super sticky tape. Like, you know, this stuff that I hate. Oh, I really don't like this stuff. This is the red line tape, and although it's very good, it's very, very horrible to... I hate the lining on it. Is that weird? Am I the only one who's like that? Oh, I really hate the lining on it, and you have to cut it. Oh. Moan, moan, moan. Right, so let's get this off. So I've used this because I definitely don't want the little dudes to come off. You can use wet adhesive again, but bear in mind that you won't be able to see so well underneath. Excuse me, to get the if there's any excess adhesive, you won't necessarily be able to see that. So now I'm going to stick him on that thing, and look. Oh, he should. Oh, he goes backwards. Right, so super simple-ish. but he's still going backwards, so I think it's the weight of the card and the mechanism I've got in there. That means he just kind of goes wherever he wants. Right, I'm going to just add a bit more powder. And then we're going to quickly put this on the back, onto a top folding card. Right, there you have it. I know he goes backwards, but the idea is that he goes round like so. And he sort of does. Anyway, there you go guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Sorry it was a bit long-winded. But yeah, hopefully you understood the basic mechanics of it. Bear in mind the weight of the card that's then going to affect the movement on the slider itself. Or maybe what I should have used is MFT also have the spinner ones. So they're basically round. Oh, sorry about that. Like I was saying, the MFT have a round version which creates more of a spinny, so it will spin as it goes round. And perhaps I should have used that. That might have been more effective. But anyway, you get the idea. So I hope you give it a try. Let me know if you have any ideas on this, the way it's manoeuvring. What am I doing that's wrong? Because I'm not very mechanically minded, so I just kind of winged it. So yeah, I will see you in the next one guys. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and like and hit the notification button if you want to see more of what crazy creative stuff I create. See you later. Bye.